I remember he's saying, "Mommy, I can't breathe. I'm dying." For an 8-year-old to say that, to process that in his head, it was hard. We desperately waited for the ambulance, and within that period of the time he stopped breathing. The fight for his life started there. He was in ICU for 11 days, and we lost him to the asthma on May 11th, 2018.
Welcome to Beyond the Wheeze, the podcast where perseverance meets potential. I'm Josh Rheaume, public speaker, marathon runner, asthma advocate, and your host as we explore the intersection of health, fitness, and resilience. Whether you're managing asthma, chasing a new personal best, or simply looking for inspiration, Beyond the Wheeze is here to show you that no challenge is too great to overcome. Together, we'll uncover stories, insights, and strategies to help you push beyond your limits. It's time to breathe deeply, move forward, and unlock your true potential, one step at a time. Today, I have the honor of welcoming Rumi and Prince to Beyond the Wheeze. On May 11th, 2018, their vibrant and compassionate 8-year-old son, Rudhro, tragically lost his life due to a severe asthma attack. Since then, Rumi and Prince have transformed their grief into a powerful force for change, founding the Rudhro Prince Hope Foundation and tirelessly advocating for asthma awareness and education. Their story is one of love, resilience, and a steadfast commitment to ensuring that no other family endures such a loss. With that being said, Rumi and Prince, thank you so much for joining and welcome to Beyond the Wheeze.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us, Joshua.
We've met a few times. I was very fortunate to run into you as early as this month. We met at Queen's Park, where we were fortunate enough to speak to some elected officials and voice some change that we would like to see and some policy that we would like pushed in regards to asthma care and management across Ontario. So we'll hop right into the interview and we'll start with segment 1, which is remembering Rudhro. I think it's important first for the listeners to understand really who Rudhro was. Could you start by sharing with us who he was, the kind of child he was, and the joy he brought into your lives?
Rudhro was our light. He was an angelic little boy, compassionate and full of joy. He was a true friend to all, who was always looking to help others that are in need. He was, we always just say that he had beyond maturity than his age. Rudhro used to love Ninja Turtles, and he believed that Superman was the greatest hero in his life. And he had a special bond with his little sister, Prachi, who is 13 years old today. Even though those bonds were mostly fights and, teasing each other, that used to fill our house with laughter. Every room he walked into, he used to light it up. Every day after school, whether my husband or I, whoever picked him up from school, we would ask him, "How was your school today, Baba?" And, with a shoulder shrug, he'd be like, as if it was just an ordinary day. But when he was in ICU fighting for his life for those 11 days, we've received 400 letters from his school, from parents, teachers, friends, anybody you can name. And in every letter that we read, there's one echo-ness that came out of it is Rudhro was a friend to all. That's how he touched everybody's life. Just a story that I wanted to share. There was a little boy. His family relocated for work in Ottawa, and in kindergarten, he didn't want to come to school because he was homesick, new to school. His mom simply would just say, "Don't you want to go play with Rudhro?" And within an instant, he was ready. He was at school. So that's the effect that Rudhro had on everybody that, in every way that touched him. Because of his asthma, we would often, tell him, don't run, don't play during recess, because during pollen, dust season, and cold airs, that would trigger his breathing issues. He knew mommy would get mad if he played, even though he really loved playing with his friends. He never complained to us. He turned his limitation into an opportunity and a purpose. He instead helped his teachers clean up the classroom, clean up the recycling bins, helped kindergarten students, wash their hands, joined the choir on his own time. He really taught us that how to turn his limitation, which was his asthma, into an opportunity. For still now, Prince and I, we still get hugs from his friends, and that tell us that, they still remember him. And it gives us a peace that, he's not forgotten. He's still remembered. He has touched so many lives, and the purest and with the big heart that, if I even live 80 years of my life, I don't think I'll be able to live through his legacy that he has built, he has established of helping others. I don't think I will be able to do that. To us, Rudhro wasn't just our son, he was our pride, he was our joy. And today, he is the reason why we are fighting for change for asthma.
I've heard Rudhro's story now a few times over a few venues, and it never gets easier to hear because I can relate to that myself. I haven't had a son that died, but being put in positions before where I could have passed and I could have left that, on my parents. That was something that I felt every single day. And when I look back, I realize how fortunate I am when I hear stories about Rudhro and the other 250 people that die per year in Canada due to asthma. I'm so sorry for what you guys have gone through, and this interview I know wasn't easy. So thank you again for being here and doing this. I know you see it as an opportunity for Rudhro's legacy to live on, and I think that's incredibly important for families to hear.
Thank you. We're here in front of this camera. As you said, it's hard, and definitely it's hard day in, day out, but we're here for those parents so that they're not sitting in front of you for another interview, so that we can spread the word and educate everybody.
Can you walk us through the events of that heartbreaking day in April 2019? What happened and how did it unfold?
Yeah, so April 29, 2018, it was a Sunday. It's one day that we do ritually, religiously, we follow through. Sunday morning, we have breakfast together. In one way that we used to help Rudhro drink milk is make his milk as a tea, right? So while I'm having morning tea, he's going to have his tea, and Prachi's going to have our tea. Rudhro's tea is to be lots of milk, a little bit of color. Tea is lots of milk, less color, right? So that day we had our competition, and Rudhro finished his tea first. And he was so proud of himself. He was like, hey, I finished. I still remember. It still echoes in my ears. So we had an amazing Sunday morning. I stepped out to pick up my father-in-law. And Rudhro was home with Rumi and Prachi. And within 10 minutes, Rumi calls and said that call an ambulance. Rudhro's having asthma attack. And this is the first time in my 20-some years in Canada I had to call ambulance. This is the first time it was that serious that we didn't know what to do. I turned back. I came, rushed through. Ambulance was about 17 minutes delayed. Ambulance came, police came. When I came home, Rudhro was still wheezing severely, and his face was getting blue and stuff like that. And I remember he's saying, Mommy, I can't breathe. I'm dying. For an 8-year-old to say that, to process that in his head, it was hard. We desperately waited for the ambulance and within that period of the time he stopped breathing. He was unconscious. Ambulance came and they were able to get him back, but he wasn't. They got his heart back, so they got him breathing, but he was not conscious. So they took him to CHIO, and the fight for his life started there. Since that day, he was in ICU for 11 days, and we lost him to that asthma on May 11, 2018. Yeah.
And that's the first thing for me to add is that's probably the first week or first time it happened is we learned about what is classified as uncontrolled asthma. No one ever told us that asthma kills. No one ever told us what an uncontrolled asthma was.
In the aftermath of Rudhro's passing, how did you begin to process your grief? And what led you to channel your pain into advocacy?
It was hard. I mean, simply we were broken. First 2 years, Prince and I used to think about going to bed, thinking about killing ourselves, waking up and we wanted to kill ourselves. But then we realized we had our daughter Prachi that we had to live for. You know, I was that mom that I had 2 legs on 2 different boats. I wanted to go to Rudhro, but at the same time I knew I had my daughter. But as days passed, we realized that we had to speak up, not just for Rudhro, but for every child with asthma and every parents who told me during that time that it's nothing serious. Our grief became our fuel, and we started learning about asthma. We started educating ourselves. We started learning, what wasn't done and what could have been done. We then decided as a family that we wanted to do something for Rudhro to keep his legacy going. The 8 years that he lived, I'm sure if he lived for 80, 200 years, he would have created something. He would have done something for the world, and the world would have watched him. So as a parent, we said, we have to do something. And that's when we decided we're going to create the Rudhro Prince Hope Foundation to honor our son and to make sure that his story is told and his story gets to people to save other people's life.
Yeah, to keep his legacy alive, right? Rudhro was a who wanted to help everyone. So this is the way that we keep his legacy alive. This is the way that Prachi carry on Rudhro's legacy. And we help other Rudhros. And hopefully with Rudhro's story, at least we can save one more life. That would be the way that we are honoring him.
And I think it goes without saying when you say that as well, it kind of answered the question. But so the Rudhro Prince Hope Foundation, what are the foundation's missions and objectives?
So our mission is to raise awareness of the seriousness of asthma, to support families and educate them with resources and advocate for policy change as well, to ensure that, asthma care gets the attention that's needed in Canada. And we want to make sure that no other family says that we didn't know, because we didn't. And that cost us our life.
The annual Rudhro Prince Memorial Walk has become a significant event. Could you tell us about its inception and the impact that it has had over the last few years?
Yeah, the annual Rudhro Prince Memorial Walk is our way of keeping his spirit, his legacy alive, and celebrating the beautiful life he lived. Rudhro's birthday is on September 14th, and each year we honor him by holding the walk on the last Sunday of September. A tradition that has grown into heartfelt community-wide event. It's a day filled with love, remembrance, and advocacy. A time to come together, to learn about asthma, to support one another, and to raise awareness so that no other family has to suffer the kind of loss we have. What began as a simply tribute has blossomed into a vibe gathering. The 5K walk or run is surrounded by fun and engaging activities for the whole family. From bouncy castles, henna, face painting, snacks, music, meaningful moments that bring community closure. Participants are like, we had 85 years younger and as young as, 1 year old, right? Pets are welcomed, right? Each year, we are humbled and grateful to be joined by remarkable supporters like Jeffrey Beach, CEO of Asthma Canada. He always stands with us. The Asthma Canada team, since the day we started the journey, been there for us, and we tribute the work that and the team do for the community. So we appreciate that. We have welcomed Honorable Ottawa's Mayor, MPs from federal government, MPP, A very good friend of mine, our counselor, Steve, he joins all the time as well. And many more. Rudhro's school teachers, they still follow. Rudhro's last principal while Rudhro is school, she joins every year. There's a lot that happens. It's always a beautiful day, sunshine in the sky, and love in every step. We cherish this walk. It's more than an event. It's a reflection of the joy Rudhro brought into the world and the impact he continues to have. His legacy is still moving hearts, still inspiring change. And through this walk, we keep walking toward a future filled with awareness, compassion, and hope. One day, hopefully, we can have asthma-free world.
And how have the funds raised through the foundation and the Memorial Walk been utilized to support asthma research and awareness?
So the funds that we raise are distributed into three different segments. One is a big portion that goes to Asthma Canada. Children's Hospital gets a portion, and we actually allocate and specify where the funds are going to CHEO. So we are dedicating the funds to be going to the asthma clinic at CHEO for resources, for any research or any education that needs to get done, any equipment that needs to be bought. Just to share, when Rudhro was in ICU, he needed to get an EEG done for his brain waves to monitor whether there's any movement or not. And we were told that there was only one machine that was in use by somebody else, and one is broken. Here, the doctor was telling us that, that's our life and he's no longer there. But here, they said there was no machine available. So we made sure the following year that they bought a couple more machines for the ICU so that no other Rudhro has to get that answer that there's no machine right now to be used. So, our funds that we raise go also to the school board. The Ottawa Catholic School Board has done tremendous amount of work with us and keeping Rudhro's spirit alive. They have opened at his school, it's called Rudhro's Garden, where they do, plant herbs and any types of plants. Every classes actually go down there and sit there, have their lunch whenever needed. And we've worked with the Catholic School Board and initiated an award called the Rudhro Prince Friendship Award. It's given out to any students grade 6 students graduating that fits into his characteristic of compassionate, friendly, that's willing to help others. So each student gets a plaque and $100 bursary. And this award is now presented to 72 Catholic schools in Ottawa. So this has a twist to it. So when we give this award, we give the $100 bursary to the kid, and the child has the choice of them keeping the bursary to themselves, or they can actually donate to a charity that is close and near to their heart. This is our way of, teaching them of giving back to the community and learning at a young age about asthma. Many of them actually donate back to Asthma Canada. So this is what we want to do. We want to pass on to young generation about the importance of giving and about learning about asthma.
I love that so much. I think it instills real qualities, which I hope to see more of in the future. At times, it's easy to feel like we lack that in our society. So that's terrific. And I will say I'm extremely excited to be joining you this year, Sunday, September 28th in Ottawa. I plan on being there, and I'm going to take the family as well and show my support.
Thank you so much.
So we've been talking about how asthma is often misunderstood as a manageable condition, yet it claims approximately 250 lives in Canada per year, which we've already discussed. What do you believe are the common misconceptions about asthma that need to be addressed?
I think one of the biggest misconception is that asthma is mild and it's harmless. People often say, oh, it's just asthma and, move on. But asthma can kill. Mm-hmm. And sadly, it does. As you said, over 250 people die from asthma in Canada, and many of these deaths are preventable. Another major gaps and the lack of awareness is the fact around uncontrolled asthma. Like I told you in the beginning, we didn't know what uncontrolled asthma is. It's a term many families never even heard. And we didn't know what it meant until it was too late for us. But most families aren't told how critical it is to have a personal action plan in place, to carry a puffer all times, and to seek, a certified respiratory educator. These aren't just technicalities. These are life-saving tools. And when they're missing, the consequences can be devastating. Closing those gaps is one of the biggest goals that we are in the mission for, and we want to educate others so that, lives can be saved.
Education saves lives, right?
Absolutely. I've had doctors on this podcast which have said that education is just as important as medication, and I tend to agree with that. In your advocacy work, what challenges have you encountered in raising awareness about the severity of asthma, and how have you overcome them?
One of the biggest challenge we have faced is the widespread underestimation of asthma. Many people still see it's a minor condition, something that a puff of an inhaler can fix. When we shared that our 8-year-old son, Rudhro, passed away from an asthma attack, people are shocked. They say, I didn't know asthma could be deadly. And that's exactly the problem. No one told us either. And I want to emphasize that. No one told us either. We have also encountered a lack of education in schools, where even teachers and staff aren't always trained to recognize or respond to an asthma emergency. Rumi had a recent interactions with one of our family friends, colleague. So why not I pass it on to Rumi to share that story?
Yeah, so there's many interactions that I have with a lot of families these days, just for the the work we do behind asthma. A lot of people reach out because they're eager, they want to know, and they thank us for the work we do. Recently, I've had the privilege of talking to a family whose child is 6 years old, and for his asthma, he is actually had to be taken out of school for many months. Wasn't able to get an action plan in place. Doctor wait times for the specialist was long. Thank God I was able to get help right away from Asthma Canada. Their resource is wonderful. They have, call centers that you can call and, can get help from a respiratory educator as well. So she was very thankful that, she was able to get that help from Asthma Canada before even going to a doctor and seeking that help. But one of the stories that she shared with me is at school, her son's teacher just think it's asthma. They just say, oh, it's okay. Nothing will happen. He's just having a little bit of breathing issue. He'll be fine. And she was devastated just knowing that. So just going back to that story really resonated how education and how important it is.
Just to give our listeners, to give you an idea of what a severe asthma attack can look like. So we all know fish, right? It's in the water. It's having the best life, having fun. If you take a fish out of the water and you put it in the soil or in your hand, the way the fish suffer as severe asthma attack or asthma patients, they grasp for air the same way, right? So it is pretty serious. We need a lot more education, right? Overcoming the challenges has meant speaking up, even when it's painful. We have turned our grief into purpose by sharing Rudhro's story over and over again. And I will do it until my last breath. We do that at schools, at community events, with our clients, in government spaces like Queen's Park on World Asthma Day, through our partnership with Asthma Canada. We have also built resources and events like the Rumi and Prince Memorial Walk, which raise awareness, educate families, and bring asthma out of the shadows. It's not always easy, but every time someone says thank you, we didn't know until we heard Rudhro's story, we know we are making a difference. That's what keeps us going. Every time we speak about Rudhro's, give us the energy, how bright he was, how compassionate he was, right? That's how we overcome. That's how we keep going. Thank you.
I think it's such a great way to look at it. Important not to feel like we've reached the end in moments like this, but to see it as a sort of beginning of something else. The analogy you had used earlier with the fish out of the water, it's interesting. I actually had my own analogy when I was young, and that analogy was take a bunch of cotton balls, shove them in my throat, and throw some sand in there, as the wheeze, throw some sand in there. I'm gasping for air and only a little bit's getting through. And the more sand you put in, the less and less is getting through. And that's kind of how I explained it. And then to go back to the educational piece as well in schools, I've had this question asked a few times since starting this podcast from other listeners. If I could find somebody on the school board to have come on and discuss what they're doing to help kids with asthma. And I think that's incredibly important. So I am actively searching for somebody that works in an educational school board that can come in and kind of discuss that. So if you're listening and you hear my messaging, someone, or if you are someone yourself, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you on.
I would like to take this moment and do a shout out to Rudhro School, St. Mary Catholic School here in Ottawa. The teachers, the school staffs, the students, the family, incredible community. If the world's looking for an example that how an institution can be, I would invite them visit St. Mary Catholic School here in Ottawa. It's a very friendly, very caring. Every single teacher since the day one Rudhro's got into that school. Prachi follows, and now our nephew, who is 3-year-old, he's excited to go to that school. So just super amazing community. So if anybody need a role model, anybody want to see that how we can make a difference. Rudhro was a boy to us, but who Rudhro became, it was all the support from his community, from his school at St. Mary Catholic School here in Ottawa. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for our children, for the community. And Joshua, I'm sorry. I'm in tears that, if it was my son at that time, I'd probably have a conversations with your teacher. Again, I apologize. It's taking extra time, but thank you for listening. Thank you.
Anytime, and we're absolutely in no rush. And as I mentioned earlier, I do what I do because regardless, my life is always going to be defined by asthma. Now, the good thing now is I can define it in a positive way and I can help others. When I was younger, I couldn't. I didn't have that. So it's always going to be there, but it's about how I choose to use that elephant in the room, I suppose. Considering that over 4.6 million Canadians live with asthma, with 465,000 suffering from severe asthma, what measures do you believe are essential to improve asthma management and prevent fatalities?
First and foremost, right now, what effective way that we can control it? What is the effective way we can reach out to the people who need the most help, right? I think that would be the certified respiratory educators in every hospital and in every clinic. I think that's the easiest way the government can implement that. And we can save so many lives. We can help many Rudhro. We can help many Joshua to have a better life so they don't miss schools, right? Besides that, I would say mandatory asthma action plans for everyone diagnosed with asthma, whether it's a mild, whether it's a severe, whether it's a controlled, whether it's an uncontrolled. Have a asthma action plan. Follow through Asthma Canada's website, and resources are there those are free of cost. Take advantage of it. Better education in schools. Our teachers, our role models for our kids. Staffs, they're the engine that runs the school. Every student's from each other and from their staffs. So if we can have better education in school and just simply asthma awareness, having it, what Rudhro School do every year, they celebrate Rudhro's birthday on September 14th. They celebrate his life on May 11th. They come together, they talk about Rudhro till today. So, we need that. Better education, increase government investments in asthma research and prevention. Uh, while I was at the Parliament, Queen's Park earlier this month, I was fortunate to met Dr. To, and she presented a full descriptions, and I was amazed by the informations that she put through. One of that stuck to me is like for we got insulin for the world. It was invented here in Canada. For her patients, we got resources that solve and we respond significantly. Here is an asthma patients, the funding is very minimum. So my ask to all the government officials, everybody, all the Canadian, is open up your wallet and let's do a lot of research and find a cure for asthma-free world. And we can do it. We Canadian, if we put through our mind to it, we will accomplish that in no time. Public awareness and break the myth of asthma is mild. It's just an asthma. That's another part. So there are a few things that I said. So I'll go back again just to recap because I added a lot of stuff there. Certified respiratory educator. That's the first one. Asthma action plan for everyone. Education in schools in the communities. A lot of government investments, private investments. Public awareness to break the myth. This is just an asthma. Asthma is manageable, but if we take it seriously, if we put through that action plan. Thank you.
Going back to Dr. To's speech, I was there too. If I remember correctly, the amount funded for asthmatics in Canada is something like $1.30. Reflecting on your journey, what have been the most poignant moments that reaffirm your commitment to this cause?
I think every time, somebody tells us that we didn't know how deadly asthma could be, it reminded us why we speak. Every parent who says, I made a plan after hearing Rudhro's story, gives us a purpose. And every September when we walk with hundreds of people in Rudhro's name, we feel his presence. We know that we're doing exactly what he wanted, the legacy of helping others. We hope that, wherever Rudhro is, wherever he's watching us, that we are making him proud.
Yeah, so Rumi and I, and Prachi also, and our small family, Neil, my nephew, we go visit Rudhro at Pinecrest Cemetery almost every day. If we miss one day, then it's the other day. In his stone, it's written clearly. If you are visiting Rudhro today, I'll start again. In his stone, it says, hope is essential in facing all challenges in life. If you are visiting Rudhro today, let's help two people. One for you, one for Rudhro. Let's make this world better, all of us, for our future generation. So that's our purpose. That's what gets us. So it's our routine, whether we'll leave home, go see Rudhro, whether in the middle of the day that we are not we're not finding our way, we go see him, or whether, end of the day after work, going home, we go see him and say, Baba, I'm going home now, right? So this is the way that we go through. I hope no other parents has to do that detour. I hope they can come home and give their kids a big hug, big kiss, and say, it's great to see you guys, right?
And what message would you like to convey to other parents who have children with asthma?
Please do not take it lightly. Please do not take it lightly. Learn the signs. Make an asthma action plan with your doctor. Carry puffers everywhere. Push for access to a certified respiratory educator. You can do it. Ask questions. Advocate for your child at school. If something feels wrong, don't wait. Trust your instincts. We did not know how serious this was, and we live with that pain every single day. Don't let we didn't know, I quote it, we didn't know, be part of your story. Make a difference. Speak for your children. Speak for yourself. It's, asthma happens to everybody, right? Besides your kids, if you have asthma, advocate for yourself as well. Don't say it's mild.
It's important to know that asthma is an illness of self-discovery. We all have to learn our symptoms. For anybody listening and anybody who wants more information in regards to Asthma Canada and their helpline and the resources that they have available to help caregivers, parents, patients, you name it, I will leave those links in the show notes. So please, when you're done listening to this episode, if that's something that interests you, go and check it out. And I promise you, you will find some help that you need. For our listeners, what steps can they take to support asthma awareness and contribute to the efforts of the Rudhro Prince Hope Foundation?
Start by educating yourself and those around you. Share your story so people can resonate. Talk about asthma as a serious, life-threatening condition. Support Asthma Canada and the Rudhro Prince Hope Foundation, whether by donating, volunteering, or joining our walk on September 28th at Andrew Hayden Park in Ottawa. And if you are a teacher, care worker, or policymaker, use your position to advocate for better systems. Every voice counts. Whether you have asthma or no, there is somebody in your life being affected. So if you look at every full Canadian, there is one person affected by asthma. Even if you don't have asthma, please come and join us. September 28th, Sunday. It's going to be a fun day. Bring your pets, bring your kids, bring your partners, bring your loved ones. It's a free event. You get to meet who Rudhro was. You get to meet his community and also have lots of fun and maybe take some info for your friends and family.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the final signature question. I do ask this question to each guest on the show. Now we do have two of you, so feel free to answer it individually if you'd like, or just combine an answer, or one of you. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you're comfortable with doing. That question is, whether you have asthma or not, every breath we take is a gift. A reminder of our resilience, our drive to keep going, and our power to define our own limits. With a single breath, you have the potential to move mountains and change the world. So with that in mind, I have, again, one final question for you. If you had only one last breath, but with it the power to influence the world, what would your message be?
Our message would be, asthma can kill. Please, please, please take asthma seriously. Learn, prepare, and advocate.
And never let another person's life be lost to something so preventable. Act on your asthma. Thank you.
Rumi and Prince, thank you for sharing your heartfelt story and for your unwavering dedication to asthma awareness and advocacy. Your efforts are a testament to the enduring love you have for Rudhro and for your commitment to making a difference in lives of others. To our listeners, if today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, share it with those who might benefit, and leave a review. For more information on the Rudhro Prince Hope Foundation and resources on asthma management, please refer to the show notes. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep breathing deep, and never let anything hold you back. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Wheeze. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share. Follow us on Instagram at Beyond the Wheeze or follow me at the Asthma Runner for more updates. Keep breathing strong and remember, your potential has no limits. Until next time.